start us off.
No, you want to
Okay,
start
fine.
us off.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ricky's Sofa, episode 10.
Woo!
10. We made it to 10 episodes. January 14. Oh, in only 3 years. 10. Yes. She asked how many episodes. I didn't say for how long it took us. It's my birthday. And
Happy birthday,
thank you
Ricky.
very much. I turned 28 again.
This is not what we discussed. But go on.
Yes. So it's weird having birthday right after the New Year because it's like you kind of grow old twice in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
And the New Year's is a little bit more
Yours
special
is today.
to other
My
people.
mom's was yesterday.
Oh, wow.
That makes me wonder about your.
do you
star
hate
sign.
her? Okay, hold on. Heather Lloyd is with me.
Heather Lloyd.
My co-host, my amazing co-host, and today, this special day. By the way, it's not so special. Apparently, it's the guy in the elevator I met today. He was like, "I don't even know what date it is today." I'm like, "It's my birthday."
How could
Dare you?
Bastard.
How dare you? Jessica.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
So
Jessica.
it's like do you want to go by Jessica, like
I like my
Madonna?
full name so people can find me if they want to.
Okay,
Jessica Valerio.
Valerio.
Say that last name again.
Valerio.
That shit nasty.
Jessica Valerio. This shit is Italian shit.
It's so Italian, and if only I were. I'd be very different. I'm a Jew to the Jew
I like
to the
Jess-
Jew star sign.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah, 100%. I don't believe in anything prescribed, but I was bar mitzvahed.
I always wanted one of those.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Well,
Yeah.
Tiffany Haddish just had her black mitzvah. Girl, go for it.
Oh, Black Miss.
But she did kind of convert and do it the right way, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that
She
up.
actually believes in Judaism.
Does she really?
She
Is that-
claimed, who knows with Hollywood what they're saying?
yeah, that's true too.
I
Well,
mean,
just
Barbara
make up
Streisand
shit.
bought her a diamond something. So
Well, I guess when
So
you have
she-
when you have
yeah.
money, you can
there's
do
a
whatever.
reason to have a black
Yeah,
mitzvah.
yeah, totally. I'm gonna get one. No.
I'll do all.
I'm gonna do a hood mitzvah. I'm gonna just go in
Tiffany
the
Haddish is
project.
They're gonna cut your dick.
But she also found out she was part Jewish. That's why.
Oh, really?
Because so her father is, I forget from what African country, Eritrea, which is what used to be part of Ethiopia. Now it's Eritrea, and they've always had some Jews there in that part of East Africa. But when you do the DNA test, that's when you find out that kind of shit. If that's true, I also saw a whole thing that DNA test can be up to 50% wrong.
Yeah, why I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But
I don't do that
why
DNA
not?
bullshit.
If it tells you you're Jewish and you can get a black mitzvah out of
That's
it,
right.
do
Do
it.
it.
Do it.
And that's
Fucking
the
love
most Jewish thing you can do. I mean, if
Plus,
anything,
blacks and
together.
Jews need to come together, so we need people like Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
true.
where we
Oh,
at
Jews and
is-
blacks. Oh my god.
One of my favorite comedians is a black Jew.
Who's that?
Oh, well, he lives in Hong Kong.
He all over the place.
Yeah, he's American, but he lives in Hong Kong, and he was raised Orthodox. Jim Brewski.
Wow,
Jim
and he's
Brewski.
Orthodox?
He was raised Orthodox. I don't know if he still believes.
Oh.
I don't know. And his wife is Chinese Jamaican.
Oh,
so get
so
this: they
she's
got
a
kids
baddie.
who are black, Jewish, Chinese, and Jamaican.
Wow.
That's everything. Like they probably can never get hepatitis K. You know? Like,
Or fail a math test.
Yeah.
Like-
that's why I don't like being purebred. It's
And they have like good skin. You know that island skin got that glow.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like black people are the best. I don't know.
But blacks in Jamaica.
Look at your skin. You like your skin. Anyway, let me finish introducing
my skin is really nice.
Jessica Valerio.
Jessica Valerio, everybody.
Ooh, welcome, Jessica.
Oh my God, we're like the worst. So ADD. Jessica has a one-woman show coming out. She's an actress. She's amazing. She's a superstar. Her one-woman show called Late Bloomer. I'm very excited.
Not just about my tits.
Not just about her tits. So Jessica, Heather, help me out.
Jessica's here today to school us on what it's like to
Be a transgender
in
individual.
America,
Transgenders. Woo!
in New York.
In New York.
Okay, let's bring it down
Actually,
to
you're
New
right.
York
You might-
because
I feel like
America's
New York
one
is
thing.
easier.
Yeah, New York
Sure.
is different.
I mean, I don't live here by accident. You know, I'm from the suburbs, and I knew from a young age that this would be the place. You know, sometimes I want to go other places, and being trans makes me question it because it's not necessarily safe
yeah, or acceptable in
or
their
acceptable.
eyes.
Right? Like I lived in Asia for many years, where it was safe, but it wasn't necessarily acceptable.
Really? Because I thought in like Taiwan is
Yeah,
like
like,
the
aren't
biggest.
there older,
I'm
like,
thinking of
culture.
Thailand.
Thailand,
Which
yeah,
is where
Thailand, yeah.
I lived I
lived
lived
in
in Thailand. For 1 year. I lived in Singapore for 3 years. I lived in China for 3 months.
Oh,
Wow, you've been
And I
all over the
traveled
place.
through all of Southeast Asia pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Okay, but time out. Can I say tranny?
If you're my friend and I personally give you the okay,
So no, so it's not okay to say.
can people
Say,
as a rule, no. Just like as a rule, it's like saying the N-word. It really is.
Really?
Sure, because has almost always been used as a negative and used in conjunction with the violence that has been put towards us, just like in the same concept as the N-word.
Okay, but what's the difference? Okay, so my question is like, is that just...
But with my friends, I love it. But that's me. And don't assume other trans people are the same way. There are other trans people who have literally clicked off stop listening right now because I said that. And I can't help that. There are trans people right now who are she's not on our side.
No, because I have a younger transgender friend. Yeah. I would use the right terms, but we call him a tranny. And he's like, yes, and he's all with it. Like,
Well, then that person doesn't care, and that works. Now, I'm just curious, when you say he, are they trans male or trans female?
He is, I say he because I know him as he, so that's what I still kind of identify him with. But he looks like a girl.
Does he live his life every single day like a girl?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Then that's a she. I can guarantee you. Like, not even a question in my mind.
Okay, so, like, my question is, like...
Because no one does this shit by accident.
Okay,
Let me tell you that. And here's the thing. Why pronouns? Let's talk about pronouns for a second. That's he, she, it, whatever. Why it matters to call someone who identifies as male he, someone who identifies as female she, or why someone who identifies as non-binary, which no one at this table does, but many people do. Non-binary means you don't prescribe to the concept of binary, two, male and female. You don't have to agree that there is space in this world for more than male or female, but there are many people who identify as something in between, and we need to respect that. And one way to do that is by respecting their pronouns, which are often they. Some people go by they as a singular person.
Can you imagine?
My ex-boyfriend, I misgendered him last night. Excuse me, they. I misgendered them last night because they now go by they. And I can be just as bad as accepting non-binary people, even though I'm trans, because it's new. It's really new, but it's fast growing, just like everything else these kids are doing today. We got to keep up. We're 28, right, Ricky?
Yeah. It's a little unfamiliar from your upbringing, so right. This is because how we were taught.
Everyone under 30, who's actually under 30, they are questioning and accepting their gender identities beyond the concept of male and female. And this is where whether you like it or not, I promise you, this is where the world is heading. So here's the bigger question. How do you know what pronoun to call someone that you meet?
Was that what you're going to ask?
That was the question. It's like, what do you say?
Well, I'm going to answer it for you. I'm going to ask it and answer it. It matters because although I don't know your particular friend who you're referring to, if someone lives every single day of their life presenting to the world with their clothes, with their attitude, with their spirit and their soul, presenting to themselves and the world as a certain identity, if you misgender them or mispronoun them, or call them the wrong name that they don't like, it can hurt on a level that I truly don't know how to convey. I don't know how to tell you how much it hurts. Most people see someone like me as really strong because I am, but that's me, Jessica. Not every trans person can handle hearing these kinds of things. And even if you can handle it, just because I'm used to it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I'm not going to show it to people because that's not what I do. That's not how I deal with the world. I'm a strong person.
If I was a mean person, right, and I saw a chick, a dude that dressed like a chick, and I'm like, clearly this guy is going over something. And I'm like, what up, dude? I'll be just trying to be a dick about it, right? Yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy to see you're trying to be a female, and but like my gay friend is like all dressed up like a girl, but he's a dude.
Drag.
So what's drag?
Drag is what you basically just described. What is usually a gay male.
But is that pretending to be a girl? And you are a girl? So, like, what's the difference?
Yes, but it can be like a Venn diagram. I'm not going to lie. There are drag queens there are trans women like myself who identify as female, live females every day, and do drag. There are, of course, gay men who do drag. There are a couple of less than gay men, maybe closer to straight, who do drag. And there are cis women like you two, genetically born women who identify as women who do drag. Drag is just something that you do. It might matter to you, especially if it's your profession. Like actually, RuPaul, that's her life. She's
but you told RuPaul like you're just it's almost like undermining what a drag is, because that's how RuPaul kind of lived.
RuPaul is famous for saying, "I don't care if you call me Sally. I don't care what you call me," because RuPaul knows that he's a man and is happy in his identity, and drag is fun. I adore drag.
I think drag is fun too. Would you?
Drag
what's that face?
Fun.
What's that?
Drag is drag. Drag is not an identity.
This is called intrigue.
Drag is not really in truth an identity.
I would do drag.
It's not a gender identity. I'm not saying it's not an identity of any type, but it's not a gender identity.
It's a gender crisis.
No.
So what is it? Because
why is it a crisis?
But there's some people that do that every day.
Drag queens are going through something. Let me tell you, RuPaul is sitting on home money right now, enjoying her best life.
I know,
but before that point, RuPaul was doing drag queen in the house with his mother's clothes. That's where drag starts, right? Doesn't it start with high heels from your sister or something?
Why is that a crisis?
No, I didn't say it was
it's like
crisis.
with yourself, like you know what I'm saying? Like you.
If it's a crisis, here's the thing.
Is it like you in between, like wanting to be a girl or a guy?
Most crises that any disenfranchised group are going through, whether they're black, white, Muslim, trans, female, any disenfranchised group, most crises we're going through are external, not internal. They feel internal, but they're caused by the external. Meaning, I've had crises from being trans because people treated me like shit. You, I'm sure, have had crises from being black because people treated you like shit for it. You've had crises for being everything that you are, and someone who's not born here,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And other things that you are. Anyone who is what I call a disenfranchised group, any group who is not, frankly, a white, straight, cis, Christian male in this society of America has experienced some form of discrimination and insult and emotional injury, that
some sort of abuse,
and the crisis doesn't always exist in and of itself. There's nothing wrong with being who we are. There's something wrong with how the world treats people who are different.
Well,
but would I be able to be okay with saying, you know what, I identify with being white, but clearly I'm black? Like, could I?
Like Rachel Dolezal?
Yeah, but everybody looks at her like,
ooh, that's a heated thing. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I would ask your opinion first because you're black. I would want to know your opinion. Like, I have my own opinion of what I think of Rachel Dolezal, but I'm curious about
the lady who like did all her skin.
The reason I don't want to have an opinion is because I'm white. I am Jewish, but I'm white, and so I don't know if my opinion on race matters as much because I'm privileged as a white person. It's my one bigger privilege I have in this life, being a white person. It's a big one though, so I don't take it for granted. It's the biggest one.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Heather's like, yes, here,
worldwide. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay,
so,
I have a
what
question.
Do you think about trans? Some people think, like, it might be the next big movement. Some people might look at someone like Michael Jackson and say,
who thought, like,
They might say that was transracial and transgender. I mean, right?
Yeah,
like,
because...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because,
he
was transatlantic.
Yes.
I might not have been able to serve. I might have needed some propofol if I was trans and transracial.
Yeah. Like, what was going on in his head?
Oh, poor person. I don't know.
Like, what if I identify with being Asian? Like, you know, because I
like
like
the
Asian community.
The reason a lot of people are angry at, say, someone like Rachel Dolezal is because they...
Was that the girl that... Rachel's the girl that said she was black and she's white? Is that?
Yeah, he changed her color.
So she was... Here's the story that I do know. She was head of the NAACP or some major figure in the NAACP chapter of Spokane, Washington. And she had... her story is she had been raised in a white family, but her family had adopted black siblings, I think both boys, and she was the only genetic sibling of her parents. And so... she did have an upbringing with black people. I can relate because my stepfamily is Puerto Rican and I grew up with them. It's not in my blood,
but
I grew up with it. Same with an Italian. I have Italian in my last name. It's not my blood, but my grandfather who adopted my father is Italian. I grew up in that culture. So you can relate to something without it being in your blood. Yeah. And it's difficult when you look as white as fuck as she does naturally, if you look at how she was born. And if you identify as black as she does, which is 100%, I get why people go, yeah, no. And the reason I get it is as a trans person. Actually, Rachel Dolezal supports the transgender community because she actually, and this pissed off a lot of trans people, she said, being transracial as I am, she didn't use that word, I don't think, but she said, my experience, she said, my experience is similar to being transgender. And I feel like I might be a hypocrite if I didn't give her a chance to say that.
Yeah, because some people are born with so much soul, more soul than, but it's so black.
Yeah.
It's so black, it's so white, it's so Jewish. Like, what is soul? Because we identify soul with black.
How do you know what's going on with
that's
someone?
Black. But what is soul?
Like, what if you identified as white inside and no one believed you, ever?
That would
I mean, you're laughing, but that's what Rachel Dolezal potentially felt like. That's what there could be people listening right now who feel this way.
I know, and
I'm just transgenders.
But it just seems like too. It just seems like we're just worried about other people's, how they look at us. I mean, we could just do us and let the world be, but because we get offended from how people look at us, this is now an issue.
Yeah.
So I could be whoever I want to be.
So the world is a lot more sensitive now, I feel like.
It's sensitive because all the issues there's so many issues that have
come
up in a short period of time.
But I just feel like they're still more sensitive to like the trans community than say like the black community, because they still don't really care about niggas. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Do you think people feel more sensitive now, or do you think that we just have the platforms and the abilities to express those sensitivities?
I think that
because this kind of podcast couldn't have happened a few years ago.
There wasn't really too many podcasts at all a few years ago.
Okay, but this kind, even if it was a different platform, let's say it was a radio.
Right, maybe it wouldn't be as relevant as it is today.
Not even just, you're right, it wouldn't be as relevant, it wouldn't have been as accepted, or you wouldn't have as many viewers. The world moves faster as it goes faster. As it moves along, it goes faster and faster.
Things evolve.
I transitioned only 12 years ago. That doesn't sound that long ago, but in the world of trans, 12 years
Forever.
Is a lot.
It's like the 80s.
Until Caitlyn Jenner came out, no matter what you feel about her, good or bad, that changed a lot because it put the word transgender on so many people's mouths that didn't know that word before.
They didn't even know that was a thing.
Because you needed a celebrity to whatever. You needed someone that you knew or could relate to or saw that was famous enough to say it. Doesn't mean we hadn't been there forever.
Okay, let me ask. I have so much to ask.
Ready.
Okay, how much does it cost?
Okay, so you're talking about the physical stuff, which is cute. Let's go into that.
Like hormones and everything, right?
Well, all right. So,
and where do you start? Where do you go to the doctor and be like,
I'm going to see if I can do this concisely and fairly, because I'm proud to say everything I've had. But what I do want to be clear before I go into what I've had is to say that some people choose not to physically change their bodies and
but when you say physically, because a lot of them have breasts, do you mean just like the lower region?
Not necessarily. Listen, some people choose not to do anything.
So how can you be transgender and be
because it's an identity, and your body is your body. I see that the soul and the spirit and the identities are, to a larger extent, separate from your physical body. But also, I'll tell you another reason why. I wanted things done for years that I couldn't get because I couldn't afford them. And that is a big issue we should address. It's not easy. We're talking about major operations.
That's what I'm saying.
And we're talking about major money that until very recently, no insurances supported.
So no insurances support that.
I know
it's very complex. Yes and no. I'm on Medicaid right now. They currently take it. But we'll see. This is right now, if Donald Trump's listening, I'm screwed because I think this is a little secret. He currently doesn't know. I'm convinced, based on how much he doesn't like trans people, that if he knew Medicaid was... Yeah. It's like a little secret, and that's why I'm trying to get everything done. February 12th, I'm having my third surgery to my face in 1 year, and God bless, because I don't know how long this is going to last for. And I've waited probably 15 to 20 years I've wanted certain procedures that I couldn't afford. Things I want to before I tell you, and I will tell you, please reserve judgment. I know I'm a gorgeous woman, and you're looking at me like, why would this beautiful woman change her face? For me and my identity.
Yeah.
But if you want to know,
I want a bigger butt. So,
what have I done so far to my body?
Her butt is huge.
I have tits.
Your butt is huge. What?
I got tits. I got a pussy. I got a nose job. I got my chin and jaw made a little smaller. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to have my second nose job because I want a little more petite, and my brow ridge shaved. And some of these are more mild, like, say, a nose job. Some of these are pretty fucking major. Jaw.
That's really...
Depending what you do. But there's different things you can do.
Chisel.
Mine, I would call medium. I have a trans daughter. Her jaw surgery was much more major than mine because she did her upper and lower and had teeth taken out, and her jaw was disaligned. So it was. She had 6 weeks of drinking Slurpees and shit. Where I got lucky.
She was a mummy.
I went back to work a week later. You were probably hanging around me. And do you remember when I had a surgery a few months ago? It was like 3 months ago. I was away for a week. Well, you probably didn't notice because I was only away for a week. That was my point. It was easy for me.
So you change everything. So you okay, but how does that?
There's more you can do and more I want, but that's me. There's some people.
How do they cut your dick off and your balls off? Like, how does not?
No, then I'd be Barbie.
No, that's not.
Then you'd be
Barbie.
Barbie.
They do that. They like.
What do they do?
Like,
I want to know. What do they do?
Open it and tuck it in. Right?
Well, this is very easily Googleable, but from what I do know, it's more like a banana split. You can, you kind of, you use everything except testicles, unless you want earrings. I don't think you use any of those.
You want to be like Armstrong, right? And get them.
Use everything except the testicles. You use, you need a urethra. You need the muscles that are in there. You need all of the skin, and maybe extra. Depends how big you are.
Because they put it in, right?
Huh?
They put it in, and hormones can shrink you a little bit. And if you've had something called some people just remove their testicles. Or at least they do that first, or maybe only. And that, what the fuck is that called? I'm drawing a blank.
This is
like
wild.
An idiot.
Because it makes it flat, right? Where it's not like protruding out, like it makes it
balls
easy
are just. Even ask a man, like balls. Suck.
Balls are tricky. Okay, balls will make you think that the dick is big and it's not.
Thing on a body.
Like,
they're in the way.
Balls.
They're in the way. I don't know anyone, man or woman, that really enjoys.
I kind of like balls, though. Like,
you like balls?
Yes, I will suck them.
But anyone,
time out. Why would you like
they're
balls?
Not all equal.
I like balls. Some are ugly.
Some are long.
Some are long. I like the ones
some are uneven. One's longer than the other. So they're wrinkled.
I like how they move on their own. Like they move. You look at them, and them shits be like floating in the sack. I'm like, is that your balls, baby? You're like, okay.
I see a dude's balls. I'm like, let me get that out of the way.
Snatch those balls up and throw them in the garbage.
Excuse me.
You usually don't write a letter home to your mother about how great his balls were. Like, they're not, they're not.
Okay,
easy.
So how much is all that?
Non-insured.
Non-insured.
Okay, which...
And then, by the way, you got it in Thailand or you got it here?
I got my boobs in Thailand. I got my vagina here. I spent $20,000 at the time, and it's getting more expensive every day without insurance, just like everything. $20,000 for my vagina. I spent $5,000 for my boobs, but for Thailand, that's a lot of money because I got big boobs. And
you be like, let me see them titties.
You can do a face for upwards of 40 or 50 or 60,000.
Shit, man. Woo,
so for some people,
$60,000.
For some people, we're talking about $100,000 of work, and
easy. And then the hormones, you have to keep taking them, right?
Oh, hormones for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life,
yeah, right.
If that's what you, although not necessarily to the same degree. After surgery, you don't need as much as you needed before surgery. But like, for example, I used to take testosterone blocker. I don't now ever have to take that again because I don't produce testosterone because that's only produced from your testicles.
From your both, yes.
At least in genetic males. Genetic females produce a mild. By the way, we all have estrogen.
I know. That's why I got a beard.
Different degrees. Yeah,
girl, you ain't got
produce
no beard.
Your adrenal glands. You want my tweezers?
Oh, my secret!
I tweeze, girl.
I got a laser machine, please.
Laser does not work for dark-skinned people.
It doesn't. No, it only sees the differential between the light hair
and the dark hair. So black people can, black people can't get that,
get
unfortunately.
It's unfortunate.
It's really sad,
Black
and it costs a
people,
lot of money for that. Mm-hmm.
And anyone who doesn't have the dark, thick hair, and light skin.
Mm-hmm. I found.
I'm so lucky I was a good candidate for it because let me tell you, I had a big Jewish beard.
Oh, for real?
I did, and it was gone really easily for me.
Your shit is silky smooth right now.
Well, I was a good candidate.
Okay.
I think I left.
Yeah, your skin looks really good.
Yeah, it looks really smooth.
Yeah, well, that's my bitch of a mother. She gave me good skin. And she always told me to wear Clinique.
Clinique is good.
Clinique
Clinique
is
is good. Clinique is good. It's old school,
People
but
go
it's
to the
definitely
clinic.
good.
I go to Clinique.
Clinique, yes, heard you.
Okay, so if you're trying to be a girl, so that's for a girl. If you're trying to be a boy, how much
Well,
is
don't
that?
say trying.
Wait,
because
sorry.
some people
well,
say, "Oh, I'm
well, if you're
to
trying, you
educate
can't afford it. What are you gonna do? You're failing at.
No, but listen, Ricky. You do want to learn about people's identities, right?
I guess I do.
Okay, good. I would hope so. You're doing a podcast about it. So, trying insults some people. I'm not trying to be a girl. I happen to have the body of one, but the body isn't what makes me a girl. The body is what makes people want to fuck me. What makes me a girl is my spirit and my soul.
But I don't think that's what Ricky meant, because I'm like trying to get an ass.
But
I'm trying to save for it.
But words,
you know what I'm saying?
Listen,
Not like I don't have an ass.
I know you're a comedian. I used to be. I'm still a comedian in my heart. But words matter. Words matter.
Okay, so what should I say if you're not trying to? Or you are.
You're trying to get a surgery. You're not trying to be a girl.
You are a girl, but you.
Oh, in better words, if you're trying to get a surgery, better luck next time, bitch, because it's 100,000.
There's that. But what I'm saying is, whether I'm not any more of a woman now than I was before any of my surgeries. Surgeries don't change you,
right? But change how we look at you. That's it.
It's how we identify.
Yeah, it's how we identify.
To a certain degree.
How are we gonna know you're a girl if you identify yourself as a girl?
If you're not like in girl form. So if you're like,
but there's different degrees.
Because you're not like a gay guy. You're totally separate from a gay guy, right?
Of course,
because a gay guy wants a gay guy.
Believe me, if I were more like them, they'd date me. I wish they would. They're hot.
So who are you trying to fuck? Are you trying to fuck?
Whatever I can get. I don't know.
But you would fuck a. Okay, so from what I know, my friends prefer straight men. They don't want a gay guy because they're like.
This is a great segment to move into. The difference between gender identity and sexuality. I want to make something really clear. Your sexual orientation has absolutely zero connection to your gender identity. Truthfully.
I think we should take a minute for that.
Okay, so one quick question before I start. So you feel like a woman, would you still date a woman? Like, would you be a lesbian? Because you identify as a woman. Like,
If I dated a woman, it would be, hopefully, because I'm attracted to women. But my point is, yes, that would make me a lesbian. Because I'd be a woman who likes women. But nobody's gender identity is attached to anyone's sexuality. For example, both of you like men?
Yes.
And only men?
She never listened to
this. You both identify as straight women.
100.
As straight.
Yeah.
1,000.
And you both identify as women.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. For you,
and for the
average look, I think because I think everything's genetic, to be honest with you. I think genetics have created a world where most people are always going to be heterosexual and most people are always going to be cisgender. But just because you're heterosexual and cisgender doesn't mean those two things have anything to do with one another. You can find out today that you are not cis, that you are somehow less than cisgender, but you could still be straight. You could find out you're less than straight and still be cisgender. Those two things are not related.
And what's cisgender exactly?
Cis is the opposite of trans.
Okay.
So your brain and your body match. Your brains are female, your souls are female, and your body is female. It all matches for you. For me, there was a mismatch. My brain, my soul, my spirit was female. My body was not. And so I altered my body to make me feel as good as I possibly can with that situation. I'm always going to see things in the mirror that you don't see. Like why you asked me, like, oh, you're having another surgery? Like, why? You're probably... I get this. The undertone of that is, well, you look like a woman to me. You're pretty. I'm assuming that's what you felt.
Yeah. I was like...
And I took that as a compliment. But although I took it as a compliment, what I want you to know is that I am always going to... Not every trans person, but most trans people, at least if they're as trans on the spectrum as I am, where I really identify as female... they're always going to see things in the mirror that kind of trigger their past in an extent.
But we all see things in the mirror that maybe not our past, but
Yes.
that
Yes.
made us feel a way growing
Yes.
up. You know what I mean? Like I would like to change things about me, and I was born this way, just like you want to change things about you, and you weren't born this way. It's the same thing, though.
I hear you thinking why it would be the same, and there are similarities, and to a certain degree, you are right. But I think that the trans identity is so difficult in this world that we live in that makes it so hard to transition and so hard just to identify as trans. And even if the world was accepting, when your body is so radically different than how you feel, I don't think it's equivalent to just not feeling attractive. I think there's a similarity. There's like a crossover.
I think it's like going out
there's
to the street every day with bad hair day. You're like, this is for you. This would how it translated.
Or like, me growing up and them making jokes about me being so dark skinned. That was an issue. I grew up in a black community and got teased for being black.
Yeah. Did you wish that you weren't so black?
I wish that I weren't so black so that I didn't get teased. But that would be a totally drastic change for me because it's my skin.
But so you didn't disidentify with your skin. That's the difference between what I'm saying here.
Do you know what she's asking?
Yeah, like oh,
there
like,
are people who didn't want me to transition who said, "You're such a cute boy, don't do it. You'll be ugly. Don't do it. You'll ruin your life." I sound like my mother because that was my mother and many other people, but that was my mother. Don't do it. There's always going to be naysayers who tell you don't do it. But for me, I know I wouldn't have been to the point, not just not been happy. Here's how I can prove my point, and it's sad. Trans people kill themselves.
Black people kill themselves. I could have easily killed myself as much as I was teased just for being black. So you could have had your feeling and never said anything about it, and it would have been something that you would have had. Mine is obvious that I can't. It's no like.
I don't want to play like a game of who has it harder.
No.
But what I will
say
statistically, if you look at the percentage of trans people, which is not that big of a group, I will acknowledge. I don't think we will. We're only genetically, I think, 1-ish% of the population. I don't think we're that huge. We're consistent, but we're small. In America, black people are like 11%. We're like 1%. We're small. But I think that if you look at within this group, let's say there's currently, I don't know, 4 million trans people. It's like, I don't want to misquote statistics, but it is the highest group percentage-wise that kills themselves, and the highest group that gets killed.
All right. I mean,
and those are two different reasons, though. The reason there's some. Okay, so the reason we get killed, of course, is just unacceptable and fucked up, and it's from other people not being able to accept us or not being able to accept themselves. For example, most trans murders, are men who, I have to be straightforward. It's black men who kill other black trans women. It's black and Latin men who kill black and Latin trans women, who they were attracted to and found out at some point that she was trans and couldn't react and
but I know some trans, I've heard a lot of stories that some trans won't tell a straight guy. They would say you at a party and you're dancing with a guy and you're there and then you find out that you've been grinding, humping, possibly tonguing down, and as the night goes on you go, I'm kind of born a guy. That's not nice. Doesn't give anybody a right, because nobody gives a right to hurt anybody.
It's a complex issue.
It's
a complex issue. However, to me, if we're going to analyze the right of a man to know versus the right of a trans woman to keep her privacy on this issue, what I view as significantly more valuable is the trans person's right to keep their privacy. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, please, because I have a black young male son, and I I don't know if I would be okay if he, like, so say he's online and he's talking to what he would think is a girl, right? And only because he's autistic and he might not really know too much of it, could easily get persuaded by a trans woman who looks really, a lot of them look better than women.
Well, you say persuaded, but that would be his own attraction. Don't put it on her for being hot.
I'm not. When I say we,
don't say persuaded.
I'm going to say persuaded because us as women, we persuade men. It doesn't matter if you're a gay man or tranny. That's just what women, because you identify as a woman, do.
I think everything's a two-way thing, but you can continue.
Okay, just like, so I'm going to use persuasion.
I think it's a two-way thing. It's a relationship. It's a two-way thing. Okay, I liked you liked me.
Okay, yeah, so you say... And he's talking, and they're engaging, and he, in his mind, it's a female. Sure. And then...
I'm sure in her mind it is too.
Yeah, in her mind it is too, but not in his mind. When the truth comes out, she's really a male. Is that not like trickery?
Well, let me ask you, what would happen to your son if that happened to him? Worst case scenario, depending on how far it got, could be the case. Because if he had sexual contact with this transgender, and you'd find out real quick if she was preoperative. If you're postoperative like me, you probably wouldn't know.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, or not, or someone just maybe giving fellatio, never really having like sex, but just doing sexual things.
And in
you know
that situation,
what I mean?
It's likely your relationship hasn't gone that far. It's likely not. You're
not
boyfriend girlfriend.
But a lot of us have sex and we're not boyfriend girlfriends. We have sex for intimacy.
That's right.
We're not doing it for a boyfriend or girlfriend.
That's right. And guess who usually initiates sex?
Men.
Just want to keep that in mind.
I know, but
just want to keep that in mind. Because I've been approached by every man there is.
I know, but do you tell the man? Do you say, "Hey, kind of give you this opportunity to make a decision, to have an option?" Because I feel like you should have an option to say, you know what? With that all being said and done, I still think you're a hot ass chick. We can go forward. Or you say, you're hot, but it's kind of not my thing.
I don't take those risks at this point in my life, but I'll tell you why. It is not for them. It is for me. It is for my own protection, because I don't want to be that statistic. The only reason I'm not terrified of it is because when I see all the trans women that have been killed, by the way, this year, it's like 20 already. Oh, I'm sorry. We're in January. Last year, it was like 24. This year, there's already been a couple. There's already been like 2, and it's January. But I'm white, and because I'm white, I know that we don't get killed that often. But I still feel what they go through. So
okay, but to your question,
I don't think it's a fun experience.
No,
I don't think it's fun.
But can you give somebody? Do you give the guy an option to make a decision?
Because
that's not okay.
If I'm a Jewish guy looking for a chick and hey, if I'm falling in love with you and hey, let's have babies. Oh, by the way, I'm a dude.
So at what point would you feel it's appropriate?
I think at the beginning, before we before we get sexual. You should give me an option.
Before we get anything, hey.
So what do you mean? Hello, my name is Jessica. I have a dick?
Kind of. Because
yes.
if it was a guy who transitioned from a woman to a male and you told me after that you was born a female, I would feel a little betrayed. I would be like, whoa, you could have told me that from the rip and you could have gave me the option to make a decision. Not saying that doesn't change who you are.
What about other things? For example, what about HIV status? What about if you have been in jail in the past? What about if there's a lot?
But we still spoke about that too. Like Ricky's neighbor trying to hook her up with her son, right? Gives her all this information. Ricky's looking forward, and then come to find out this nigga did 10 years in jail. No, tell me that you've been in jail give me a chance to say, you know what, this guy deserves my time or my chance. Not tell me after the fact that you was in jail for murder.
So how do we know what things in this society we are meant to disclose and what things we aren't? Can you at least acknowledge that it's not a black or white issue?
I think
it's a complex thing.
No, I kind of like it goes with right and wrong. You know what's right and you know what's wrong. In your heart, everybody has it's like things like if you touch the fire, you know you'll get burnt. Like you know that. That doesn't take much to
just says so
kind
much
of
about
like.
how
I don't
you
know.
lived your
because,
life.
And I'll tell you why I don't know that. For example, the guy I met last night had a great time last night. Not only did he not care that I was trans, we had a whole night together, inclusive of sexual things. And by the way, I told him I was trans quite early. He didn't ask. Let me finish. He didn't ask me once one single trans-related question.
But that's okay because you told him and you gave him an option. You gave him, and he said he didn't care.
I
because
did, and
you were
once
great.
again, I want to make clear that I told him for
You
my
told
benefit,
him,
not his.
yeah, but you still told him. You still gave him a chance
Right.
because
I did.
he could have said.
But that wasn't the
"Ooh."
point I'm trying to make. What I'm saying is, when I meet men, they could be on a scale anywhere from somewhere like him, who literally doesn't care what your gender identity is. He's completely accepting. He doesn't care what's between your legs. He's just not enough in his need to care. He's evolved enough for him where he doesn't need to care. Two, I could meet someone on the complete opposite end who literally would kill me if they found out with, Now, how am I to know as a trans woman who hopefully people value me for being myself and see my life as valuable and not needing to be hurt or murdered? How am I to know whether a guy I meet is closer to the scale of the guy I met last night or closer to the scale of the guy who's going to kill me?
Because it's saying it up front, and then you kind of know from there. You'll know instantly as soon as you go, and then you'll know from facial reaction. You'll know from body language. You don't have to say a word.
Potentially. But from my experience, that is not always the case. I have met men who have claimed to be more accepting about it and claim that they didn't care.
So you're from safety issues, you don't say it right away. That's it. Safety issues.
No,
is that what you're saying?
Issues, you say it right away.
No, she's saying if she says it, she might die.
I might die, or
that's what she's
less
saying.
than. It's not always that extreme because, like I said, white trans women almost never die. But I can be insulted, I can be demeaned, I can just be ignored, or at the very least, ghosted. And I feel that we all have things that when we all go on a first date or meet someone for the first time, as Chris Rock says, we're sending our representative, right? We don't tell everyone, and blah, 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 blah. We don't just tell them every single thing about us because, one, there's only so many hours on a date, but two, it's a turn. We all know that there are things that are harder to digest and things that we're all a little bit scared of. No one has zero skeletons in their closet, or zero, I don't even want to say as dramatic as skeletons in your closet, but things that are harder to digest.
But okay, that's like me going on a date with a guy, right? And I have like 6 kids, and
right, exactly. That's a good example. That's a good example.
But I'm not going to tell this guy that I got 6 kids, right? And he's like,
at what
this
point
girl,
do you think someone with 6 kids should tell?
I think you should
right
tell
the fuck away because that
happened
happened to me too. And like, really,
yeah. Like I have a friend with 3 kids.
Dating somebody with that? I don't want that. Like me, I don't want to date a guy that has more than 1 kid or kids that are little. Exactly. So I think you're great. And we go on a date and everything. Then you tell me like a month, 2 months later.
Oh, that's a
lot.
Or
a week or two, because we get attached quickly depending on how we feel emotionally.
Every relationship's a little
no, but there's some
but I'm just saying, like,
right away.
Like, so and then he tells me like a week later, like, I think you're kind of great, but I got 4 kids.
To agree with that, I'm happy to discuss this further, but
I think we were just going to agree to disagree at this point. That's fine.
That's fine. I'm glad people got to hear different perspectives.
Yeah, no,
but I feel like the kid thing was like a good like way of explaining. Like, I kind of need to know that you got 3 kids because I would be a stepmom.
If you have kids, we want to know right the fuck away. Like, seriously. Even 1 kid. Like, that's... Because that means you're always going to come second in the relationship. You're always going to come second. Even if he's a shitty dad, the bottom line is going to be there for their kid before it's going to be there for you.
So that's a part of something that I think you kind of need to know from the rip. Like, or even like I feel like even my son.
You're telling me you've never been with a guy that doesn't tell you things you wished you would have known earlier?
Oh yes,
of course.
But we're just trying to say that it sucks, and no, we don't react. In our time by ourselves, we go, I would slap the hell out of him. Like, I can't believe this motherfucker. Girl, you believe this motherfucker. like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how we react. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't even.
Like, death, kill, I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? But being angry, like, this motherfucker could have told me this. Like, you know what I mean? You're like,
That's how
So there's certain things, like, even with my son, I even know, like, as he gets older, and I kind of tell him that you're going to have to be able to let people know that you're an autistic man. So that they can understand or try to understand that there are differences with you that what we wouldn't say are quote unquote normal people. You have to let them know. You have to advocate for yourself because they don't know. Right. So they'll see you doing something like rubbing your arms because you're kind of like trying to like stabilize yourself because you're feeling kind of crazy, and then you look and they go, "Why is this guy doing that? You're doing something weird." Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So those are kind of things that you gotta
kind
of tell off the rip.
Insensitive to what other people go through when they are dating a trans person, meeting a trans person, or most recently I had to deal with my mother. So my mother kicked me out when I was 23, which is not that young. I had just graduated college.
Shit, I got kicked out at 15.
Shit. Yeah. Well, the reason I waited to 23 to transition is because my mother held it over my head that she was going to take care of me, pay for college, as long as I didn't go through with it. So I wanted to transition closer to 20, not 23, but whatever. To this day, she doesn't really acknowledge that she kicked me out. She says that I kicked myself out for breaking her rules. What were her rules? Not being a girl. But that's one perspective. But my point is,
I'm not surprised.
I feel for her because she feels, to this day, years later,
she lost her.
She feels robbed,
slighted. No, slighted and maligned that she was the last to know, that I didn't warn her that I was going to go through with it, and that my last semester I was going to school and I didn't tell her. I was going to school as Jessica, and she didn't know. But it was because she made it clear to me. So, we were both crying. This happened to us many times in our lives where we're both crying for ourselves for like opposite reasons. I'm crying because you hurt me, and she's crying because I hurt you. But like, she wants me to understand how difficult it is to be the parent of a trans person. And it's not that I want to be insensitive, but sometimes two people being sensitive to each other is like a conflict of interest. Like if I let my mom know that if I tell her it wasn't fair for me to have kept the fact that I knew I was going to transition after college secret, then it's like invalidating the fact of what I went through, which is having a mother that I couldn't trust because she made it that way. And they don't go together. It's a conflict of interest. So like the same thing with the trans woman dating a guy who doesn't know yet. I think there's a conflict of interest that it's not that I don't feel sensitive towards someone who just learned that their best friend is trans or their kid is trans or that the girl they think is hot is trans. I think that, or your employee, because I've been fired 10 times for being trans after they found out, which fucking sucks. That's a whole other issue. But, and everyone always says, God, I wish you would have told me. But what they're really saying is, I wish I would have told you so I could have discriminated against you. And it's like, how do I sympathize with you when I'm being discriminated? It's a conflict of interest, but here's why I validate for myself. At the end of the day, I'm going to stick by saying being trans is a more difficult experience than dealing with someone trans. Being black is a more difficult experience than dealing with someone who's going through issues from being black. Do you know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't be able to tell you that if I don't know how I could have this issue, but like if somehow some shit you went through from being black made my life more difficult, that's somehow worse than being black. It's not, because you have the firsthand, and you live with it every day. Like, for example, if your son meets a trans woman, the likelihood is that's going to be the only one in his life. At least that used to be the case. There's more of us now, but don't worry, we're not taking over. I wish we would. We're not.
I think you guys are.
It looks it looks that way. But no.
I give it another 5 years, it'll be 12 million, and another because the world, like you said, that evolving. The world is going really fast.
No. What it used to be is 0 of us were out. Zero of us were visible. We were always there. So who the people who are coming out now are the people who always were meant to come out.
But
there's a cap.
But
there's
they'll
a cap.
Still keep but I feel like too, like now it's becoming a trend almost.
It seems that way. There's a cap. You don't have to believe me, but there's a cap.
But you just feel comfortable
it's
now
genetic.
coming out.
It's
okay,
genetic.
I have last question, and then we have to wrap up.
Work.
Kris Jenner.
How's she doing?
Winning? Did she win Woman of the Year? Didn't she get?
I don't know.
For
One
what?
What is it? Was it one of the titles like Woman of the Year, Kris Jenner? And what?
That is not fair.
That is not fair. That's what I'm saying. So you
Wait, you
claim
mean Kris, not Caitlyn.
Caitlyn.
Oh, you meant Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Just like with
okay.
sports. They have trans women that want to do sports with straight women, like let's say UFC.
Okay, well, because these are two separate things. Let's put the
go
sport things aside second, because I know where we're going with that. But Ricky, why is it not fair for
because she hasn't been a woman this whole fucking time.
Has she not?
Not really.
He was busting ass.
Come on,
winning
Maybe
titles,
she felt as
smoking guys in basketball. Like he getting the best of both worlds. Damn.
Well.
Get your period
How
every
you get on a
fucking month.
Wheaties box for 15 years and now you Women of the Year?
Okay.
Get your period.
Here's another conflict of issue.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest issue. And I know exactly where this sits. Okay, here are the two issues here. You have
I'm glad you're with me on this.
I completely listen. I see both sides, but
that's what I'm asking you.
My opinions fall where they're going to fall, but I see both sides. Okay, the side of the trans person, let's say Caitlyn. Caitlyn, 60, didn't come out till she was 65. Listen, I don't really like Miss Caitlyn Jenner all that much, but what I do believe is she's a trans woman. Not my sister, but she's a trans woman.
Okay, fine.
And attack the fact that she did other shit wrong, and she's a Republican. But yeah. Always has been. At least that didn't change. But whatever.
ADD.
Whatever. She was consistent with one thing. But
let's go.
Caitlyn obviously was able to allow the fact that she used to be a white, straight male in our Christian straight male in our society, good looking, who was able to use that to get so much. Now, I don't want to. You can never take away from an Olympic athlete all the shit they had to do to. Like, you can never touch that. You can't touch that person was the best fucking athlete of their time.
Yeah.
Period.
That's what she did. She did.
Right. But when you live 65 years and have essentially retired with all your privileges intact, when you transition, although you do get brought down, Caitlyn has been dragged through the mud since transitioning in many ways. However,
she didn't get dragged more than New Jersey housewives.
Comparing someone like me, who never had a career as a male, to someone who was able to build a career as a male is not a fair connection. It's not a fair comparison. I will never have the same privileges Caitlyn had because I was never able to use being male or cis as in the working world. That's why Caitlyn can't know what it's like to have been fired. I was fired 10 times for being trans.
But you didn't want to be a football player either.
Caitlyn transitioned when she already had $100 million.
And also,
and an empire.
Also too, like
and 112 kids.
But what female that identifies as a female wants to really do all those kind of sport? Like, don't get me wrong, there's NBA, WNBA basketball players. There's things, but
yes, no, that can be
he
female.
He was.
Well, have you not noticed Caitlyn's a lesbian? Caitlyn's into women now. Always has been. That didn't change. Oh, there's a perfect example of how your gender identity and your sexuality.
Oh my God, it's so overwhelming.
Your gender identity and your sexuality are separate. Caitlyn has not shown interest in any man since transitioning. Caitlyn has only shown interest in female. I watch Caitlyn shows since she's transitioned. I Am Kate there's like 2 seasons. Caitlyn dated women. Caitlyn is interested, just like always was. Trans people can be lesbians. Trans people can be straight, just like anyone else.
But you just want to look.
She's
like
a sporty
a girl.
dyke. What do you want? She's a sporty dyke.
She's not even. She's not even the aggressive. She's the lipstick lesbian.
Yes,
she wants to dress.
That's
really
a thing.
Like a girl.
That's a thing. Just because she's trans doesn't. If she were a lipstick lesbian, sports loving, genetic female, you would understand it. She is all those things. She just happens to be transgender.
She just happened to have been a man first.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just leave this unsolved, I feel like.
Do you think Caitlyn could have transitioned any earlier than she did in our society? Imagine for a second. Just imagine.
I think you still can't do it because our society is the worst.
But just imagine, you were the world's most
I know,
famous
this is not, we don't argue about that at all.
muscle man, masculine, and like...
No, there's no way. Not before. Yeah.
Imagine that pressure.
All right, we have to wrap up.
I wasn't from that generation.
No, growing up, all I knew was like one lesbian dyke in the, like all in the
Right.
the 80s and 90s,
And that
and everybody
person had
knew who
balls
she
of
was.
steel, let me tell you.
She wore
Right.
a ponytail,
Yeah, me
her
too,
socks
me too.
up, and
I couldn't have done it back then.
and she was looking like I beat everybody up. You know what I'm saying?
This was what do you want people to know?
I want people to know that trans people come in all types. You know, I'm me. Anything I've said is, of course, just my opinion. I want people to realize that we still have it hard. I don't want pity, because I don't think pity helps anyone, and it doesn't help me. I don't enjoy it. It doesn't make me feel better. But I want people to be educated and to show in as much as you can respect for everyone's identity, because we all have things. We're all the same. We're all connected. I really believe
That we are.
Yeah, I believe that. And we need to boost each other up so we can get this orange turd out of the office.
Amen to that.
You know what? As long as pants don't go in her.
And I'm single and ready to mingle. How
She's
you doing?
single and ready to mingle.
Yes.
You guys.
Okay, one quick question before
Great
we end.
tits.
Is dating
Yeah. Oh,
for transgender women as horrible as it is dating
Yeah.
for
1
a
minute.
regular
We have
woman?
1 minute.
worse.
Go.
It's worse.
Worse.
It's the same
Of
thing.
course it's worse,
because
'cause-
it's misogyny. To me, trans people who don't accept trans people are misogynists, but more.
But why doesn't gay guys don't like trans women either?
That's just no. Now they wait. Okay.
They like, ugh, she wants to be fish. They like macho men.
If that's their attitude, they're jealous.
Fight.
If that's their attitude, look, I have had gay male friends for a long time. I used to have, at first, exclusively gay male friends, and then I realized that they were in a bit of a bubble in New York, where we live, and it's not this way everywhere. But gay men have a great fucking time in New York these days.
Yeah, they're the shit.
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
I mean, they're not perfect, but they have a great time. You know, there are gay men who are like, you know, fucking CEOs of companies these days, doing pretty well. And trans women are not yet at that point, and it's complex. But there are gay men who completely get it these days and support us the way they should, and vice versa. But yes, queen, I love me some gay men.
Girl,
Okay.
it's not dating. Dating's not easy for nobody.
No,
Trans,
No
straight,
fucking body.
it's not.
black, white, Jew,
We're all fucking
well,
complicated.
white
Yeah.
girls.
Go to sleep crying. Okay, just me.
That's why I'm an advocate for being
You're
single.
looking like bitch you in a corner.
I think you should be single until you find someone that actually respects you.
Amen to that.
I know, but what about the next?
You can get that without date. You know, yeah.
I know, but you don't want to have too many bodies.
Jessica
Wear a condom.
Valerio. Wear a condom. I have a whole pack if you
I
need
know, but-
extra large. Jessica Valerio.
She likes black guys.
Late bloomer.
Yes, look for
One
it.
woman
It's
show.
coming. The story
It's
of my
coming.
life told in musical theater parody
Late bloomer.
songs.
Jessica Valerio, thank you so much for being with us today. That
Thank
was
you for
I'm
having
sure
me.
we
This was
really it was
educational.
very
This is
educational.
good.
Very
I know they will be. You guys are going to be tuned into this all the way. I know.
But this is the most silence we've ever been on
I
our
know.
podcast. Like, all right, shit, this is coming down now.
Smile. I have a lot to say.
I'm going to take my earrings off. fight.
Well, thank you for listening, Ricky Sofa. If you have a better name for our podcast,
Yes,
please
yes.
suggest it.
Yes.
We're
We're
hookers?
looking into changing the
Hookers?
name.
We're not hookers. We're not. We're old, fun ladies.
We're really not hookers. We
Yeah,
would. They have
Old
more
hookers?
fun
Old
than
hookers.
we do.
Old hookers.
Like, hookers get paid.
Old sluts.
Yeah, I
Well,
know
that, like,
sluts.
True.
Well,
Old
sluts are
sluts. No, I don't know if
No,
anyone's gonna
not
like it.
slut,
I'm trying
no.
to make it. Let us know if you have a name for our podcast. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Heather
hit us
Lloyd.
at Nana Brown.
Nana Brown, Ricky
Instagram,
Sofer,
you know.
Jessica Valerio is here. We're going to tag her as well. Thank you so much for listening.
Have a good night.
Have a happy new year. Bye. Bye.